The 12 Days of Fluffenmass. Tales of festive grimness and dark festival.
Abandoned No More. Written by George Daniel Lee. Read by A.D. Nichol. We hear the child, long before they cast it out. Not merely its wails, its snarls and snivelling, but its dreams, its silently shrieking hatreds and desires. We know from the moment it murders its weakling mother via its passage into the world, a strange child to grey and ashen people, those with dust in their veins, with cobwebs in their souls, their dull and dismal village erected on the border of our domains. The child's first cry rouses us, brings us to the outer edges of the dark. I hear clearer than most, the soul sent strong, though not enough to warrant our intervention. Yet, the Bone Lord's undying ones still defend these reaches, their numbers swollen by every new death, by every plague and famine and murder that occurs within these realms. Too many, even for our great herd. Even woe be to summon our allies from the inner woods, from the distant peaks. Its mother rises, as all planted within this soil do. I watch. I wait for her, send my hounds and whelps to bring her when the time is right. Though damaged, though spilling out through the very wound the child carved, she lives still, after a sense, more so than her empty, rotting kin. She lives, and she remembers. Oh, how she cries at mention of her lost and suffering babe, how she writhes and rails at the stories I tell of him. The Ashen Ones, his kin, they know what he is, yet there's no outward sign of it, yet. They sense it, smell it in his sweat, in his blood, hate him for it, as many of us were hated when we tore our ways from the wombs of mothers too weakling to bear us. I tell her those stories, as she lies chained before our herdstone, as its power saturates her, making her so much more than she once was. His mother once, now ours, swollen into glory by the powers beyond, by the All-Father in his fecundity. So many children, so many siblings, our herds growing strong and numerous as the season passes. As the seasons pass, the original child grows in both body and soul, though he is beaten bloody almost daily, though he is half-starved, and though he is forced out into the cold by his kin, who refuse to have him by their fire, eating at their table. I watch, with the eyes of carrion birds and worms and beetles, through the dust spiders that spin their webs through his family's farmstead. Watching him learn to hunt and feed himself, sustaining from meagre fare at first. Vermin that barely quiets the ache in his belly, that sometimes makes him swell and vomit in agony, that leaves him feverish and hallucinating. It's in those moments that I walk with him, that I let him see. All we are, all he might be, the slaughter of those he hates, the authors of his suffering, the burning of their world. And yes, he loves us for that promise, calls to us in the deep of his nausea, delirium. Later, he learns to hunt greater prey, the taste of sweeter meat. Never his family's cattle, knowing what that punishment would be, but the beasts that stray from the edges of the wood that he lures with the rats and lesser things he slaughters, that he devours down to the bone in his hunger, growing strong where he should be weak and withered, such that those who once preyed upon him no longer have the will. Others of the herd scent him now, Golrak the feaster, the unbleeding, the cankerous wolf, the greatest among us, one who no other can wound or kill, he comes to me, impatient, seeking to burst from these dead woods, to trample the unliving bone and rotting flesh under our hooves. But now is not the time. Together the mother and I counsel him otherwise, to await the All-Father's sign. It isn't until the eve of the child's 13th birthday that he begins to show true signs of favour, that I can become certain that he is the one the bones and entrails tell of. A disease should have killed him, no matter his constitution, a biting frost, a long hungry winter having claimed many of his purported kin, while we have grown stronger, the weak from our own winnowed out, taken by the land. Worms in his heart, worms in his eyes, his belly swelling to the point that it cracks and bleeds. With him, when it happens, sensing the rheumy eyes of the All-Father upon him. The fever haven't taken him, his kin fleeing him, leaving him out in the gnawing cold. I see with my spirit eyes the children of the All-Father about him, dancing, capering, those that swell inside. The third eye bursts open like a boil upon his forehead, dripping luminous tears. His cries bring those that once called themselves his kin, his self-fancied father, bearing fire and blades, his brothers likewise. Before they can touch him, they fall, writhing in the snow, clutching at their throats, their eyes black bile seeping from their lips, their flesh blossoming with purple tumours. He rises, our child, our soon-to-be prophet, his cries turning to choked laughter as he hunches over. His back and arms swell as his face bursts, the sweeping proboscis of a great fly twitching in the place of his lips. I laugh, singing to him, as I call our kin, informing Golrach that it is time at last. His mother is carried with us as we emerge, as the unliving ones stand against us, moving with a single mindless purpose, unable to resist our ferocity. Golrach reaches them first, hacking about himself with his smouldering blade, his maggot-like hide pulsating and rippling, spurts of steaming bile melting ancient bone and decayed flesh. I follow after, accompanied by my swarms and flocks, my beautiful maggot hounds. We go, moving apart from the main herd as they smash through the outer walls and gates as they tear apart the unliving ones. Those in our path die before they even know what is happening, my little friends descending, filling their mouths and eyes as the hounds bear them to the ground, burrowing into their bellies. Those with the metal to raise arms against us suffer far more, the powers that flow through me, melting the flesh from their bones, filling their skulls and entrails with flesh-eating worms, flocks of otherworldly carrion descending from the night sky to pluck them apart. We find him surrounded by those that once beat and brutalized him, that would have left him in the cold to die if it were not for the favor he walks in, the destiny he must fulfill. They carry fire and reaping blades in their hands, those sick, weak, ashen people, those meals for worms. Many lie quivering and blossoming around him, dead before they even laid a finger on him in harm. He is more beautiful even than my spirit sight revealed, a smouldering censer of glorious disease, the air around him thick with flies, a message of truth already passing throughout the crowds that they cannot now deny. I pause, watching, as they scrabble to flee from him, as they trample and abandon one another, as they fall clutching their eyes and throats, vomiting their own liquid organs, bursting with the parasites that have swollen in their flesh. All around, fires rise as our kin go to work, tearing down the hell he was born to, leaving only blessed ash and ruin in their wake. It won't be long now. I feel it in the air, in the soil, dead magics, the black winds rising. Soon the unliving will rise against us, in defense of this mouldering realm. So be it. We are ready, and our Gorkin will feast upon rotting flesh and old bones. None shall escape untouched, even those that continue to writhe and whimper after they fall, those that seep but refuse to die. He awaits me at the heart of the carnage, his body slick and pulsating, still in the mist of metamorphosis. Knowing me on sight, his unseen companion, his dreaming guide, since he first began to see and speak. Incapable of smiling any longer, though I know he does. Drinking in the reek and the mire he has made, I extend my hand to him.
Come, child. Come and meet your true kin.
The chosen does not hesitate, but slopes to me slowly, sloughing black and fetid tatters of his former self. The children that swarm around our bodies meet and intermingle as our talons intertwine, and I show him what he could only glimpse in his fevers, the ruin he will write from this moment on, the obscene civilizations that pock and mar our lands like blemishes, that he will reduce to pits of pus and lakes of effluent. Blazing with black fire, ignited with new purpose, the child follows through the blood and ruin, quickening at the calls, abandoned no more. What, you thought you were only going to get 12? Yeah, we had a lot more than we expected. So, 13 days of Fluffenmass. To be honest with you, I wish I'd already done 13 days of Fluffenmass. That would make more sense. But, all that being said, this is Adam, for everybody here at the Fluffenhammer, wishing you a very happy Christmas, a very non-malevolent festive season, and I hope that the plastic crack under your tree gets painted before next year. By which I mean 2021. No, I messed that up. Bye!